Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Martin SN0107G, and I say it's new because we've got a whole bunch of new colors, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So I was sent this watch for free from the San Martin Design flagship store on AliExpress. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. That's not going to sway my review one way or another. And yes, that is yet another official store from San Martin. They seem to be popping up a lot these days. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them now. So, but it is an official San Martin distributor. So, yeah, you don't have to worry about not receiving the watch. You will get your watch, I promise. And if by the end of this review you find yourself wanting to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving an affiliate link in the video description that takes you right to the new store. And yeah, if you use that link, you aren't paying any extra. This channel will benefit a little bit from the commission earned, which allows me to keep the channel moving. So thank you guys to anyone and everyone who has ever used one of my links. I really do appreciate it. So the current retail price for this watch is $265 US. That's before any taxes or sales or coupons or anything like that. They definitely have a bunch of coupons available, so make sure to clip those before you hit the buy button. The SN0107 is available in 5 different configurations now. So version 1 was the one that I reviewed a while back. I'll be leaving the link and the picture of it right here. So that is a printed dial with the vintage lume. Version 2 moved to printed dial but BGW9 lume. Version 3 added the applied indices. And then I think we're on version 4, 5, and 6 now. So I'm going to call this one a version 4. This is a matte gradient dial with applied indices. It comes in brown, green, and blue, as you can see. Version 5 is an enamel dial, so it's a nice glossy dial. It comes in black, green, and blue. If you look at this closely, you can see the black and the green are gilded dial accents, while the blue is just silver dial accents, so keep that in mind. And then version 6 is another matte dial, but this time in white, mint green, and tannish color, and these ones have a different dial and handset, so just keep that in mind. And they are a gunmetal color to contrast with the dial nicely. So yeah, so all of these are using the same case and the same bracelet and the same movement. So yeah, you have tons of options to choose from when it comes to the SN0107. Getting into the watch case, bracelet, crown, and case back are all 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, screw down crown, screw down case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, and they're all powered by the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. So if you guys want to see this case in like full detail, go click on the link. I'll leave it down in the video description. I'll also try and leave it up here of the original SN0107. The case, as far as I can tell, has not changed at all. The bracelet, same thing, hasn't changed at all. So yeah, I go into a lot more detail in those reviews than I'm going to in this one. I'm going to touch on everything. I'm just going to kind of summarize or skim over it a little bit. So if you want to see in full detail, go check out that review. But I will be touching base on what has changed, and that is all in the dial. So I'll be going into full detail review on the dial on this thing. Otherwise, you know, if you want to see everything in full detail, or if you want to just see more of this watch, go check out that other review. So with all that being said, I say we get into the full review. Before we do a quick wrist check today. Wearing the Suggest GMT. Actually really like this watch. Go check out the review for that one. Alright, so let's get into the dimensions. I did measure all these with the caliper, and it's the same as before, so I'm going to pop those up on screen here. You have a 38.4 millimeter diameter, and that's to the bezel, 12.1 millimeters thick, 20 millimeter lug width, 46.8 millimeters lug to lug, and it weighs 132 grams, sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist with 2 links removed. So just like the previous version, I think this is the perfect size. It's going to fit a lot of wrists. It does have just a little bit of curve down, as you can see there. Some of these cases get really flat. These ones do have a little bit curved down towards the end, so it does hug the wrist pretty nice. But yeah, I think it's nice and thin enough. I think it's the perfect size. Female end links. It's very comfortable. I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, just like the last one, it wears great. I love the size. I think it's got a decent amount of curvature. It's a little bit of a flat case, but it does curve down a little bit towards the tips of the lugs there, so it hugs the wrist nicely. It's comfortable. It feels balanced. Yeah, it feels really good. I like the fact that it's all brushed, but has those kind of hints of high polishing on it. So yeah, really happy with it. And the dial, I think, looks pretty cool. Here it looks just like a matte brown color dial, but once you get it out in the sun, you'll see some different colors. So let's do that right now. And here you can see it in some direct sunlight there, so give you a nice close-up of the dial and kind of how it shimmers a little bit with the brown. I think it looks really good. Yeah, really happy with that. I like the applied indices as well. I think the new dials, they just look awesome. They did a really good job on these things. Pretty unique as far as colors go, but yeah, executed really, really well. And here we are on a black fitted rubber strap. The specific link for this one, it's dead now, so but these straps are all over AliExpress, and they're pretty much all the same. So if you like that, just find one and get it. It does look pretty good on this, and it actually fits it pretty decent, which I was kind of surprised about. And here we are on a Vario vintage leather strap. As you can see there, doesn't look bad. These brown dials are super hard to pair with, I'll say that. It's really tough. But yeah, I think this actually looks pretty good. Okay, here we are on a green canvas strap. I actually think that looks pretty good. The green and the brown kind of go together a little bit, and I like it. What do you guys think of that? And here we are on a crown and buckle single pass. You can see there, sits nicely still. Black with the orange stripe. I think it actually looks pretty good. And lastly, here we are on a double pass nylon strap. This is kind of a coppery color with a red stripe. Kind of brings out the red on the second hand, and I think that actually looks pretty good. It's definitely not an exact match, but it's pretty close. Got this one with a Seagull watch, so I don't have a link for this one, sadly. So yeah, that does look really, really good though, I think. All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, touching base on the case finishing on this thing, it's a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. So everything is brushed. You have circular brushing on the bezel, vertical brushing on the tops of the lugs here, horizontal brushing on the case sides, a signed crown here, which is 6.5 millimeters, and everything is done very nicely. So you have your typical high polished chamfers, really nicely defined from San Martin as always. And then you've got a polished chamfer on the edge of the bezel there as well. Everything looks really good, and I think the way that it is, it just kind of balances nicely between a tool watch and kind of a more dressy watch. So you get all those brushed surfaces, which goes really nicely with those high polished chamfers. I think it looks really, really good. All right, let's talk about the crystal on this thing. So the crystal is a sapphire crystal. Yes, I did test it, and it is a box dome sapphire crystal, nice and flat on the middle, and nice and curved on the edges, so you get some distortion towards the edges there, but nice and clear on the dial in the middle. It does have plenty of anti-reflective coating. It is a clear AR coating. I don't notice any blue hint, maybe just a tiny hint of blue, as you can see kind of right there on the edge of the crystal. But for the most part, it is just a clear anti-reflective coating, and I think it looks really, really good. It's a really nice crystal. And getting really close, we can talk about the dial on this thing. So you have an applied indices, an applied hex logo there. Everything is done very nicely. Everything is aligned nicely. I see no issues with that whatsoever. The handset they used, same as before, just a flat handset. It's not faceted or anything like that, but it's a nice size, reaches right out to the minute track. Same with that second hand with the red tip on it. I think it all looks pretty good. Whether you like that design of the handset, that's up to you guys. I do like it, and I think it looks pretty good. You have your 12, 3, 6, and 9 numerals. Again, those things are done really nice and crisp and clean. The dial itself is a matte brown dial on this one, and it does have kind of a very subtle kind of gradient or fade or fume dial to it, so it's a little bit lighter in the middle and then darker towards the outside. It's very subtle, but it is there. But it's a really cool dial. Getting up real close, you can see it kind of has some grain to it. It doesn't really have any texture, but it just has some grain to it and does kind of sparkle under certain lighting. And again, I think they did a very nice job with this thing. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. Simple minute track printed around the outside there, and then automatic 100 meters at the 6 o'clock position. Again, everything is just done nice and clean. Daytime lume match, it is using BGW9 lume, so the lume is matching perfectly. Everything is a-okay there. I've got no issues with it. The lume on this thing is excellent. I'm going to pop up a lume shot here. You can see it against some of the other watches in the collection. They're kind of a similar style to this one, and it holds on. I've got no issues with it. It's a nice application of BGW9 lume, so nice ice blue glow. It lasts all night long, and I've got no problems with it. All right, so we'll talk about the movement inside. So the movement is the Seiko NH35. Here's how this one is running in particular. Negative 3 seconds a day. Can't really complain about that. A little bit of a bigger beat error than I would hope for, but still pretty solid of a movement. It is the Seiko NH35, like I said, operated by this 3 o'clock screw down and signed crown here. So good size on the crown. It might be a little small, but plenty of grip, so I've got no problems with that. You get a decent pop out of the crown there when it releases from the threads. First position is hand winding, nice and solid. Second position is your ghost date position, and I can feel the date moving back there, so they didn't remove that. Third position is where you set your time, and everything is set very nicely. The alignment is spot on. Yeah, I've got no issues with it. It's the NH35. It hacks, hand winds, 21,600 beats per hour, so 6 ticks of the second hand every second. It does everything you need it to do. It's roughly 40 hours of power reserve. They're cheap, they're reliable, they're accurate enough. They're great movements. I've got no problems with them, especially this one. It's running perfectly fine for me. All right, let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So the bracelet is unchanged from version 1. It is a 20 millimeter bracelet, and it tapers down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. The links are 3 solid links here. You have solid end links with female pivoting, as you can see there. Nice female pivots there. It doesn't extend beyond the lug tips there or anything like that, and it drapes down nicely. You got nice, nice articulation on the links as well. I've never had these things kind of get hung up on each other. You have really nice brushing on the tops here, matching the case pretty much spot on. I mean, the end link fitment on these things are great, nice and tight, as you can see there. No movement in it, and they follow the case curvature perfectly. Brushing on the tops of the links, polishing on the sides here. You have screw pins for adjusting, no issues with that. And then we have our old style St. Martin clasp. I'm wondering if they're going to upgrade this to the newer on the fly clasp. If you guys aren't aware, they now have an on the fly clasp, and you can get it. I believe it's like $50 or something like that. So if you wanted to upgrade it, you could upgrade this to the on the fly clasp. But as it is, this clasp is perfectly acceptable. 4 levels of micro adjust, nice finishing, brushing on the sides, brushing on the top, applied hex logo there, really nicely done. Nice high polished chamfers as well. Yeah, these clasps, they work great. They're fully milled on the insides and nice tight tolerances. I've had no problems with these ones, but it's hard to argue with the new clasp as a nicer clasp just because it has the on-the-fly adjustment. But these ones, I've never had a problem with them. They all work very nicely, and they're just a good size, and they look good, nice and clean. So yeah, no issues with that. And no issues with the bracelet in general. It is your typical San Martin 3-link bracelet, so this bottom edge is just a little bit sharp. But other than that, it's very comfortable, and it's a very solid feeling bracelet. And overall, I am very pleased with it. So there you go, guys. That's kind of an overview of the SN0107. Again, if you want to see everything in more detail, make sure to check out that other link. That is the original one. I'll be leaving it down in the video description. I'm not sure how many times I can link that up in this corner, but that being said, you have like 6 different dial options on this case. It's a really nice case, a really nice bracelet, good lume on these things. The crystals are awesome. There's not a whole lot to complain about on these things. If you are looking for a kind of a field watch, yeah, this is a really good option for you. This one, and then the SN020 or 021, those exploring style of watches, those ones are also really good options. So yeah, pick and choose which one you like. These ones are really hard to beat, though, very hard to beat, and especially with all the new dial options, you're going to find one that you really like. So again, I'll be leaving the affiliate link down in the video description. I'll be leaving a link to this exact watch and then to all the different styles of SN0107. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Check all those out. Make sure you get those coupons, and enjoy the watch if you end up getting it. So I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.